There is a place at the bottom of the world, a place so cold it freezes the very air you breathe, so desolate that for most of human history it was only a myth. A ghost on the edge of our maps, we call it Antarctica. It is the coldest, driest, and highest continent on Earth, an alien landscape of ice and rock. Officially, it is a land dedicated to peace and science. A continent owned by no one and shared by everyone. But some believe this is a lie. They believe Antarctica is not a continent at all. They believe it is a barrier, a ring of ice hundreds of feet high that encircles our entire world, an immense frozen wall holding in our oceans, guarding the edge of a flat, contained Earth. They ask a simple yet profound question. A question that challenges everything we know about our planet, about our place in the universe. Is there really an ice wall surrounding the Earth? And if so, what are they hiding behind it? Welcome to Story Drop. Tonight, we investigate one of the most persistent and extraordinary claims of the modern age. We will trace its origins, examine the evidence, and journey to the very bottom of the world. To separate fact from fiction, this is the story of the ice wall. Our story begins not in the frozen South, but in 19th century England, a time of invention, discovery, and radical new ideas. But for one man, science had taken a wrong turn. His name was Samuel Burley Robotham. He was not a trained scientist. He was a charismatic inventor who went by the pen name Parallax. He had a revolutionary theory. The Earth, he declared, was not a spinning globe. It was a flat, enclosed plane. In his model, the North Pole sat at the cosmic center. The continents spread out from it, but what kept the oceans from spilling over the edge? This is where the ice wall was born. Robotham claimed Antarctica was not a continent at the bottom of a globe. It was a colossal circumpolar barrier of ice, a natural container for our world. He called his philosophy zetetic astronomy, relying only on what could be personally observed. His most famous experiment took place on the Old Bedford River. He claimed that through a telescope, he could see a distant boat, a boat that should have been hidden by the Earth's curvature. To him, this was undeniable proof. The Earth was flat, but Robotham's experiment was flawed. He failed to account for a simple phenomenon: atmospheric refraction, the way light bends as it passes through layers of air at different temperatures. This effect can make distant objects appear higher than they actually are. It creates the illusion of a flat surface. Mainstream science dismissed his work as baseless. But the idea of a flat Earth with its great ice wall did not die. It lingered, a ghost in the machine of progress. An idea that appealed to a deep human desire for a world that is special, contained, knowable. For over a century, the idea remained on the farthest fringes. Then came the internet, a tool that can build echo chambers, where any idea, no matter how strange, can find an audience. Robotham's 19th century theory was reborn for a new, digital generation. The core belief remains the same: a flat, stationary Earth, and at its edge, the wall. Believers say this wall is heavily guarded, that a global conspiracy prevents anyone from reaching it. They point to historical events and official documents as proof. Evidence, they claim, that governments are hiding the greatest secret in human history, their prime exhibit, a treaty signed over 60 years ago. The year is 1957, the height of the Cold War. In a climate of fear and mistrust, something remarkable happens. The International Geophysical Year, an unprecedented scientific project to study the Earth, the main focus of this cooperation, was Antarctica. 12 nations established over 50 research stations on the frozen continent. This spirit of cooperation led directly to a landmark agreement. The Antarctic Treaty was signed in 1959. It established Antarctica as a scientific preserve. It banned all military activity. It forbade new territorial claims. and guaranteed freedom of scientific investigation. On the surface, it is a beacon of international diplomacy, but to believers in the ice wall, this treaty is something else entirely. It is not a shield. It is a cage. They ask, why would the world's superpowers suddenly agree to make an entire continent off limits? At the very peak of their rivalry, they tell you it's for science and peace. It's a lie. The treaty was designed for one reason: to stop you from going there, to stop you from finding out the truth. They control all access. No independent exploration is allowed. Why? Because they're guarding the edge. The claim is that the treaty is a cover, a legal framework to enforce a global quarantine, to prevent ordinary people from reaching the ice wall. They claim the continent is surrounded by military patrols, but what is the reality? The reality is that Antarctica is not off limits. Tens of thousands of people visit every year. They are tourists, adventurers, and support staff. There are no military blockades. The treaty prohibits them. There is no no-fly zone over the entire continent. Commercial airlines like Australia's Qantas operate sightseeing flights. These flights spend hours flying over the continent's vast interior. The treaty simply manages activity to protect a fragile environment. Any expedition, scientific or private, requires a permit. This is to ensure safety and environmental standards are met. It's no different than needing a permit to climb Mount Everest. It is not a wall of secrecy. It is a framework for responsible stewardship. The conspiracy twists an act of peace into a plot. It reframes cooperation as control. But the treaty is not the only piece of history they have repurposed. They also point to the words of a legendary American explorer, an explorer who they claim saw what lies beyond the wall. His name was Admiral Richard E. Byrd. He was an American naval officer and pioneering aviator, a national hero famous for his daring expeditions to the polar regions. His most famous was Operation High Jump in 1946, the largest Antarctic expedition ever mounted. Its official purpose was to train personnel and test equipment in frigid conditions. But in the War of the Ice Wall, Operation High Jump had a secret mission: to confront a mysterious force guarding the icy frontier. This belief stems from a specific quote in a supposed secret diary. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole from Little America. In a 1954 television interview, Byrd made a tantalizing statement. Strangely enough, there is left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. Land beyond the pole? To a believer, this is a bombshell. He wasn't talking about more of Antarctica. He was talking about a new, hidden landmass. They hid his flight logs. He tried to tell us, but the secret was too big. A land hidden behind the great ice wall. He saw it. Byrd flew past the pole, past the edge of our known world. He found a new territory, but they silenced him. The myth has grown to include a fantastical lost diary. In this fabricated account, Byrd describes flying into a hollow earth. This diary is a known work of fiction, appearing decades after his death. But what about his actual words? The land beyond the pole? The explanation is simple geography. Byrd's base, Little America, was on one side of Antarctica. The South Pole is in the center of the continent. The land beyond the pole, on the other side from his base, was simply the other half of the Antarctic continent. In the 1950s, this vast area, larger than the United States, truly was unexplored. Byrd, the great explorer, was simply pointing out the next great challenge: mapping the rest of this immense unknown continent. His words were not a cryptic clue. They were a literal and accurate description of the task ahead. Today, that land is no longer a mystery. It has been mapped by satellites and crossed by scientific expeditions. There is no secret continent, only the cold, hard reality of the ice. The evidence presented for the ice wall often follows this pattern. A fact is taken out of context. A quote is misinterpreted, but the entire theory rests on one fundamental rejection, a rejection of the most powerful evidence we have for a spherical Earth. For thousands of years, we could only imagine our world from afar. We used shadows and stars to deduce its shape. Then, in the 20th century, we left. We broke the bonds of gravity and looked back, and we saw this, a sphere, brilliant and blue, floating in the blackness of space. Since the dawn of the space age, we have taken countless photographs of our planet. We have a continuous, real-time view from a fleet of satellites. This technology is built upon one undeniable fact: the Earth is a globe. But for the ice wall theory to be true, all of this must be fake. Every photograph from space, every live feed from the International Space Station, it must all be part of the lie. It's all CGI, computer-generated imagery. NASA is the biggest movie studio in the world. They have to create these fake pictures because if they showed you a real one, you'd see the truth. There are no real pictures of a globe Earth. This is an unfalsifiable claim. If you present a photograph as evidence, it is dismissed as CGI. The conspiracy becomes a fortress, immune to any external evidence. But you don't need to trust NASA. You can rely on proofs that you can see and measure for yourself, here on the ground. Let's start with the horizon. As a ship sails away, it doesn't just get smaller, it appears to sink into the sea. The hull disappears first, then the mast. This happens because the ship is moving around the bend of the planet. If the Earth were flat, the entire ship would simply shrink to a point. Now, let's look at the stars. In the northern hemisphere, the North Star is a fixed point. Its height in the sky depends on your latitude. Travel south of the equator and it disappears completely. A whole new set of stars becomes visible. On a flat Earth, everyone should see the same constellations. The changing sky is powerful proof of a globe. And then there's the sun. In the Antarctic summer, there are periods of 24-hour daylight. The sun never sets. It simply circles in the sky. Simultaneously, the Arctic is in 24-hour darkness. This phenomenon, the midnight sun, is impossible on a flat Earth model. It defies the basic properties of light. But perhaps the most compelling proof is a journey that is routine in our modern world. This is the Southern Ocean, home to the world's most grueling sailing race, the Vendée Globe, a solo, non-stop race around the world. The route takes sailors east. They circumnavigate the entire continent of Antarctica before rounding Cape Horn and heading home. The journey covers about 28,000 miles. It takes the fastest boats just over 70 days. Now, let's plot this same course on a flat Earth map. With Antarctica as a giant ice wall around the edge, the journey becomes impossible. To sail east from Africa, past Australia, and back to South America, a sailor would have to travel around the entire circumference of the flat world. The distance would be astronomical, over 60,000 miles. More than double the actual distance sailed. Every sailor, every airline pilot who navigates the southern hemisphere is a living testament to the shape of our planet. Their GPS systems rely on satellites which orbit a spherical Earth. Their flight plans are based on a globe. If the Earth were flat, none of these journeys would be possible as we know them. The scientific evidence is overwhelming. It is woven into the fabric of our daily lives. So why does the idea of an ice wall persist? The answer has less to do with physics and more to do with psychology. To believe in the ice wall is to believe in a grand conspiracy, a deception of unimaginable scale. It requires you to believe that millions of people are in on the secret. Scientists, pilots, engineers, and politicians, all working together to hide the truth. Why would a person choose this belief over the evidence? The reasons are complex and deeply human. For some, it stems from a profound distrust of authority. In a world where trust has been eroded, the conspiracy offers a simple answer. They are lying to you. For others, it provides a sense of community. The internet allows isolated believers to find each other, to form groups where their ideas are celebrated, not ridiculed. Belonging feels like being part of an exclusive club of the enlightened. There is also a powerful psychological allure. The ice wall theory simplifies a complex world. It replaces the cold, indifferent cosmos of modern science with a world that is contained, purposeful, and special. A world with clear boundaries and humanity at its center. It feels more like a story, and humans are wired for stories. When someone has invested their identity in a conspiracy, it can be easier to reject overwhelming evidence than to admit they were wrong. The belief is no longer about evidence. It becomes a matter of faith. But in focusing on this fictional wall, we risk missing the wonder of the real place. The truth of Antarctica is far more magnificent than any conspiracy. This is the real Antarctica. Not a wall, but a continent. 1.5 times the size of the United States. Covered by an ice sheet nearly 3 miles thick in places, it contains 90% of the world's ice and 70% of its fresh water. The conspiracy claims the secret is what lies beyond the wall, but the real secrets of Antarctica lie beneath our feet. Hidden under miles of ancient ice, scientists drill deep into this ice, pulling out cores. These ice cores are like time capsules. Trapped within them are bubbles of ancient atmosphere. They tell us the story of Earth's climate, stretching back 800,000 years. They are a history book of our planet, written in frozen water, and the discoveries go deeper. Satellite radar has revealed something astonishing: a hidden landscape of mountains and valleys beneath the ice, and more incredibly, lakes. Over 400 subglacial lakes of liquid water, kept from freezing by the Earth's geothermal heat and immense pressure. The largest is Lake Vostok, sealed off from the outside world for millions of years. Scientists have found microbes in the ice above it, life, surviving in one of the most extreme environments imaginable. What else might be living in that cold, dark water? The question is a source of intense scientific excitement. Antarctica is not a barrier to keep us in. It is a gateway to understanding our own world and our place in the universe. The real mysteries of Antarctica are not about a hidden edge. They are about the origins of life, the future of our climate, the history of our planet. These are the questions that drive real explorers. This is the frontier they are investigating. The idea of an ice wall speaks to something deep within us. The romantic, ancient desire for a finite world. For an edge to the map marked "Here be dragons." It's born from a natural human curiosity, a desire to question what we are told. This instinct is not wrong. It is the very engine of science, but curiosity must be paired with evidence, with rigor, with a willingness to be proven wrong. Science is not a collection of unchangeable facts. It is a process, a method for asking questions and testing answers. It doesn't offer the easy certainty of a conspiracy theory. It offers something better, something more profound. It offers a universe of genuine mystery, of questions we haven't even thought to ask yet. There is no ice wall at the edge of the world. The only walls that exist are the ones we build in our own minds. The true frontier is not a physical place we are forbidden to go. It is the boundless, ever-expanding edge of human knowledge. And the greatest adventure is the quest to push it back, one discovery at a time. Thank you for watching tonight's story from Story Drop. If you enjoyed this journey into the depths of mystery and science, don't forget to support us with a like and a share. There are countless stories waiting to be told. If there's a particular mystery or a scientific question that sparks your curiosity, leave it for us in the comments. Until the next story, goodbye.